I still remember the day my 5-year-old great-granddaughter looked up at me with those innocent eyes. We were at the park, and I was struggling to get up from the bench to follow her to the swings. "Grandpa," she said, looking concerned, "why do you move like that, like your body is hurting you?" Her little face showed such worry. That moment hit me harder than any medical diagnosis I'd ever received. The truth is, I couldn't keep up with her. Not because I didn't want to, there's nothing I wanted more than to chase her around that playground, but because my joints were stiff, my balance was shaky, and I was afraid of falling. I smiled and told her I was just a little tired, but inside I felt that crushing weight of time passing, of becoming a burden rather than the protector I'd always been. That evening, I looked in the mirror and asked myself, is this who I am now? Is this all that's left? Perhaps you've had a similar moment, when you caught your reflection and barely recognized the person staring back, when the simple things you once took for granted now seem like mountains to climb. I'm Dr. Robert Keller. I've been practicing medicine for over 65 years, and at 91 I still see patients 3 days a week, not because I need to, but because I believe that my experience, both as a physician and as someone who's navigated the challenges of aging, gives me a unique perspective that my younger colleagues simply don't have yet. I've spent the last 20 years specializing in geriatric medicine, focusing exclusively on helping people just like you and me maintain their strength, independence, and dignity well into their 80s and 90s. And what I've learned might surprise you. Take Margaret, for instance. She came to my office last year, tears streaming down her face. At 78, she'd just moved in with her daughter's family, after a series of falls had convinced everyone she couldn't live alone anymore. "I feel like I'm just waiting to die," she told me. "My son-in-law had to install grab bars in the bathroom, and my grandchildren look at me like I might break if they hug me too hard." Or consider Thomas, 83, who stopped attending his weekly bridge game, something he'd loved for decades, because he was embarrassed that he couldn't get up from the tee. "Low chairs without assistance. It's humiliating," he confided. "They all pretend not to notice, but I can see the pity in their eyes." And then there's Eleanor, 75, who told me that her greatest fear wasn't death, it was becoming dependent on her children. "I raised them," she said firmly. "I don't want them to have to raise me." These stories might sound familiar to you. Perhaps you've felt that same creeping sense of loss as your mobility has declined. The frustration when you can't open a jar that would have posed no challenge a decade ago. The anxiety about navigating stairs without railings. The fear of falling that keeps you from activities you once enjoyed. And if you're like most of my patients, you've probably been told that this is just what happens when you get older. That loss of strength, balance, and flexibility is inevitable, that you should just accept these limitations and modify your life accordingly. Well, I'm here to tell you that they're wrong. What most people, including many healthcare professionals, don't understand is that while aging does bring certain biological changes, the dramatic loss of function that many seniors experience isn't inevitable. It's not simply a matter of aging, it's a matter of disuse. Here's what science has shown us in recent years. The human body, even well into its 9th or 10th decade, remains remarkably adaptable. The principle of use it or lose it doesn't stop applying just because you've celebrated your 70th birthday. You see, when we stop using our muscles, they naturally atrophy. They get smaller and weaker. When we stop challenging our balance, the neural pathways that control it become less efficient. When we limit our range of motion, our joints stiffen and our flexibility decreases. But, and this is the crucial part, these changes are largely reversible. Even if you're in your 70s, 80s, or beyond, let me explain what's happening in your body right now. As we age, we typically lose about 3 to 5% of our muscle mass each decade, after age 30. This process, called sarcopenia, accelerates after age 60. But research has shown that resistance training can not only slow this loss, but actually reverse it, increasing muscle mass and strength at any age. Similarly, the neural pathways that control balance become less efficient with disuse, but they can be retrained through specific exercises. And while our joints do undergo changes as we age, regular movement helps maintain the production of synovial fluid, the lubricant that keeps those joints moving smoothly. In other words, what many people attribute to just getting old is often largely a result of movement patterns or lack thereof that have developed over decades. The good news, you can change those patterns. You can rebuild strength, improve balance, increase flexibility, and reclaim much of the physical function you may have thought was lost forever, and I'm about to show you exactly how to do that. I've developed a simple 4-exercise protocol that specifically targets the key areas of fitness that most affect independence and quality of life as we age. These exercises can be done in your home with minimal or no equipment in just 15 to 20 minutes a day. Better yet, most of my patients begin to notice improvements within just 7 days. Small changes at first, like getting up from a chair more easily, or reaching items on higher shelves without pain. Within 30 days, the changes become more significant. Improved balance, noticeably increased strength, and a growing confidence in their physical abilities. Best of all, these exercises are designed specifically for older bodies. They take into account common limitations like arthritis, osteoporosis, and cardiovascular concerns. They're gentle yet effective, challenging yet safe. But, and this is critical, they must be done correctly. There are common mistakes that can not only reduce the effectiveness of these exercises, but actually put you at risk for injury. That's why I'll be showing you both the right way to perform each movement and the dangerous variations to avoid. Now, before I walk you through each exercise in detail, I want to be clear. This isn't about turning you into an athlete or achieving some unrealistic standard of fitness. This is about restoring the functional abilities that matter most in daily life: the strength to lift groceries, the balance to walk confidently on uneven surfaces, the flexibility to put on shoes and socks independently, and the endurance to enjoy activities with loved ones without exhaustion. This is about reclaiming your independence and your confidence, about being the person you want to be, not the person others assume you must be because of your age. So let's get started with the 4 key exercises that can transform your mobility, strength, and overall quality of life. I'll show you how to perform each one correctly, adapt them to your individual needs and limitations, and avoid the dangerous mistakes that could set you back. The first exercise focuses on strengthening your lower body, particularly your quadriceps, the large muscles at the front of your thighs. These muscles are essential for standing up from a seated position, climbing stairs, and maintaining stability when walking. We call this exercise the chair rise. Here's how to do it correctly. Start by sitting in a sturdy chair with a straight back and no armrests if possible. Position the chair against a wall for stability. Sit toward the front of the seat with your feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart. Your knees should be bent at about 90 degrees. Cross your arms gently over your chest or extend them straight in front of you parallel to the floor, whichever feels more comfortable and balanced for you. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, press through your heels, not your toes, and slowly stand up. Focus on engaging your thigh muscles rather than pushing up with your hands or arms. Once standing, hold the position for a count of 3, maintaining good posture with your shoulders, back and down, chest lifted. Inhale as you slowly lower yourself back to the seated position, controlling the movement throughout. Don't just drop back into the chair. Imagine you're lowering yourself onto an egg that you don't want to break. That's 1 repetition. Start with 5 repetitions and gradually build up to 10-15 as your strength improves. Now, here's what you should never do with this exercise. Never lock your knees when you reach the standing position. This puts excessive strain on the knee joints and can lead to injury. Never lean forward excessively from your waist as you stand up. This puts strain on your lower back and reduces the work done by your leg muscles. Never rush through the movement, especially the lowering phase. Quick, uncontrolled movements increase the risk of falls and minimize the strength-building benefits. And perhaps most importantly, if you have significant knee pain, osteoarthritis, or have had recent knee surgery, don't push through pain. Modify the exercise by using a higher chair or placing a firm cushion on the seat to reduce the range of motion until you build more strength. Here's a special tip for my patients with arthritis. Try doing this exercise in the afternoon rather Then first thing in the morning, when joints tend to be stiffer. And if you're having a high pain day, it's perfectly acceptable to reduce the number of repetitions or skip a day entirely. The second exercise addresses one of the most common and dangerous issues facing older adults: poor balance. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths among people over 65, and improving balance is one of the most effective ways to prevent them. We'll work on a modified version of the flamingo stand. Don't worry, I don't expect you to stand on one leg like the bird. Here's the safer, age-appropriate version. Stand behind a sturdy chair, holding onto the back with both hands for support. Make sure the chair won't slide. Place it against a wall if necessary. Place your feet hip-width apart and stand tall with good posture. Shift your weight onto your right foot and slowly lift your left foot just an inch or two off the floor. You're not trying to lift it high, just enough to transfer your weight completely to the standing leg. Hold this position for 5 seconds initially, breathing normally throughout. Slowly lower your foot back to the floor, then repeat with the other leg. That's 1 repetition. Start with 3 to 5 repetitions on each side, and gradually increase the holding time to 10 to 15 seconds as your balance improves. As you get more comfortable with this exercise, you can progress by holding the chair with just one hand, then eventually, just placing your fingertips on the chair for minimal support. Here's what you should never do with this balance exercise. Never attempt this exercise without having something sturdy to hold on to. Unlike younger adults, whose balance recovery mechanisms are quicker, we need that safety backup. Never look down at your feet while doing this exercise. Keep your gaze fixed on a spot on the wall in front of you. Looking down actually disrupts your balance. Never hold your breath. Breathing normally helps maintain stability. Never wear loose, backless slippers or socks without shoes when practicing. Balance exercises. Always wear supportive, non-slip footwear. And here's my special elderly hack for this exercise. If you find yourself wobbling significantly, try imagining you're pressing your standing foot through the floor. This mental cue helps engage the stabilizing muscles in your ankle and lower leg more effectively. For those of you with foot neuropathy or severe arthritis in the feet, I recommend performing this exercise while wearing your most supportive shoes, even though you're indoors. The additional support can make a significant difference in your stability and comfort. The third exercise focuses on upper body strength, which is crucial for so many daily activities, from carrying groceries to lifting grandchildren to pushing yourself up from a bathtub. We'll use a simple wall push-up that's much more joint-friendly than traditional floor push-ups. Here's how. Stand facing a wall about arm's length away. Place your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height and shoulder width apart. Position your feet hip width apart, slightly behind your body, creating a slight lean into the wall. Keep your body straight from head to heels. Don't sag in. The middle or arch your back. Slowly bend your elbows, lowering your chest toward the wall while keeping your heels on the floor. Go as far as is comfortable without straining. Press back to the starting position by straightening your arms. That's 1 repetition. Start with 5 to 8 repetitions and gradually build up to 10-15. Here's what you should never do with wall push-ups. Never place your hands too high on the wall, above shoulder height, as this reduces the effectiveness of the exercise and can strain your shoulders. Never let your head drop forward. This puts strain on your neck and can lead to headaches. Never hold your breath during the effort phase. Exhale as you push away from the wall. Inhale as you lower toward it. If you have a shoulder injury or severe arthritis in your shoulders or wrists, here's a modification. Place your forearms against the wall instead of your palms, which takes pressure off the wrist joints and changes the angle of shoulder engagement. And here's an elderly hack that's helped many of my patients. If you have trouble feeling whether your body is maintaining a straight line during the exercise, try doing it with your back against a hallway wall and then taking 1 step forward before turning to face the opposite wall. This gives you a recent physical memory of what proper alignment feels like. The fourth and final exercise addresses flexibility and spinal mobility, which are essential for everything from turning to check blind spots while driving to reaching items in kitchen cabinets. This exercise is called the seated twist, and it's particularly effective for maintaining rotational mobility in your spine. Here's how to do it. Sit toward the front edge of a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart. Sit tall, lengthening your spine as if there's a string pulling the top of your head toward the ceiling. Place your hands on your shoulders, elbows out to the sides. Inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, gently rotate your upper body to the right, leading with your elbow. Keep your hips facing forward. The rotation should come from your waist up. Hold for a moment at the end of your comfortable range of motion, then inhale as you return to center. Exhale and rotate to the left side. That's one complete repetition. Start with 3 to 5 repetitions in each direction and gradually build up to 8 to 10. Here's what you should never do with the seated twist. Never force the rotation beyond your comfortable range. This isn't about how far you can twist. It's about maintaining and gradually improving mobility throughout your entire spinal column. Never twist rapidly or use momentum. These are controlled, deliberate movements. Never twist your neck independently of your upper back. Your head should follow the movement of your shoulders, turning as one unit to avoid neck strain. If you have osteoporosis or have experienced vertebral fractures, consult with your healthcare provider before performing rotational exercises. You may need to reduce the range of motion or choose alternative exercises. For those of you with more significant back issues, here's a gentler modification. Keep one hand on your lap and place the other hand on the back of the chair. Use that hand for very gentle support, not to pull yourself around as you rotate. And here's my special tip for this exercise. If you feel any catching or pinching sensations in your back during the twist, try raising your arms to shoulder height and extending them straight out to the sides before you begin the rotation. This slight change in position can often provide more space for the vertebrae to move without compression. Now, I want to share with you a few stories from my patients who have incorporated these exact exercises into their daily routines. There's Ruth, who at 82 had moved in with her daughter's family because she could no longer navigate the stairs in her own home. After just 3 weeks of consistent practice with these exercises, particularly the chair rise to strengthen her legs, she confidently told me that she could now climb the stairs to see her grandchildren's bedrooms when they invited her up to show her their latest creations. Last week, she told me with tears in her eyes, my 7-year-old granddaughter asked me to come upstairs for her tea party. Dr. Keller, I climbed those stairs without holding on to anything but the railing. I sat on the floor with her, the floor. And when we were done, I got back up without help. My daughter stood in the doorway crying. She said she hadn't thought she'd ever see that again. Then there's Howard, a 79-year-old former business executive who had become increasingly isolated. After a series of falls made him afraid to leave his apartment. After incorporating the balance exercises into his daily routine, he gradually regained his confidence. 6 weeks into the program, he called my office, excitement evident in his voice. "Doc," he said, "I went bowling with my son and grandson yesterday. Bowling. I hadn't done that in 5 years. I didn't even need my cane inside the building. And you know what my grandson said? He said, Grandpa's got his mojo back. That's exactly how I feel, like I've got my mojo back." And I'll never forget Maria, 86, who had always been the caretaker, in her family. When arthritis in her shoulders made it increasingly difficult to lift even lightweight pots and pans, she reluctantly allowed her children to hire a meal service. "I felt useless," she told me. "Cooking for my family was how I showed love." After consistently practicing the wall push-ups to strengthen her upper body, she proudly reported that she had made her famous lasagna for Sunday dinner, all by herself. "When I carried that heavy dish to the table," she said, "my whole family applauded. My great-granddaughter asked if I'd teach her how to make it. Dr. Keller, I thought those days were over for me. But they weren't. They were just waiting for me to get strong enough again." These stories might sound remarkable, but they're not unusual. I've seen these same transformations hundreds of times over my decades of practice. The human body has an extraordinary capacity for adaptation and improvement at any age, if you give it the right stimuli and the proper care. So let me ask you, what would regaining your strength and mobility mean for you? Would it mean playing on the floor with your grandchildren? Taking that trip you've been postponing because you weren't sure you could handle the walking? Simply feeling confident enough to go to the grocery store without worrying about falls. Whatever your goals are, I want you to know that they're likely more achievable than you've been led to believe. You don't have to accept declining function as an inevitable part of aging. You can take meaningful steps, starting today, to reclaim your strength, your balance, your flexibility, and ultimately, your independence. Here's what I recommend. Start with just one of these exercises today. The chair rise is usually the best one to begin with, as lower body strength has the most significant impact on overall independence. Do just 5 repetitions, focusing on perfect form. Tomorrow, add the second exercise. The day after that, add the third. By the 4th day, you'll be doing all 4 exercises, still with minimal repetitions, still focusing on form. From there, gradually increase either the number of repetitions or the duration of holds as your strength and confidence improve. Listen to your body. Some discomfort as you work muscles that haven't been challenged in a while is normal, but pain is always a signal to adjust or modify. Within 7 days, you'll likely notice small improvements. Perhaps standing up from a chair feels a bit easier, or you feel more stable when reaching for something. These early wins are crucial. They're evidence that your body is responding, that change is possible. Within 30 days, the changes will be more substantial. You may find yourself automatically choosing the stairs over the elevator. You might notice you're not reaching for support as often when you walk. You might be able to open jars that would have defeated you a month ago. And within 3 months, that's when the truly life-changing improvements often emerge. That's when my patients tell me they've resumed activities they'd abandoned years ago. When they report that family members have commented on the change in their mobility and confidence. When they realize they're no longer planning their lives around their limitations. Remember, this isn't about achieving some arbitrary fitness standard or comparing yourself to others. This is about reclaiming your ability to live the life you want to live, to be present, active, and engaged in the ways that matter most to you. It's never too late to start. I've had patients begin this program in their 90s and achieve meaningful improvements in their quality of life. The key is simply to begin and to be consistent. I often tell my patients, aging is inevitable, but declining function is often optional. You have more control over how you experience your later years than you might have been led to believe. So try these exercises for just 7 days. Notice the changes, however small they might be initially. Let those early improvements motivate you to continue. Your body wants to be stronger, it wants to be more capable. It's designed to respond to the demands you place on it, even now, even at this stage of life. Give it that chance. Start today with just 1 exercise, just 5 repetitions. That small step could be the beginning of a profound transformation in how you experience your daily life. And if you found this information helpful, please consider sharing it with others who might benefit. There are too many older adults living with unnecessary limitations simply because no one has shown them what's possible, what they're still capable of achieving. Together, we can change the narrative around aging from one of inevitable decline to one of continued growth, adaptation, and possibility. Thank you for allowing me to share these insights with you today. It has been my life's greatest privilege to help people like you recognize and reclaim their strength, their mobility, and their independence. I believe in what you're capable of, even if you're not quite there yet yourself. Try these exercises for 7 days. See what happens. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by what your body is still capable of accomplishing.